My name is Mariota and I work at MyTutor, which, if you're not aware, is an online tutoring platform which helps kids get their GCSEs and A-levels, and all of our tutors are from UK unis as well. So just a bit about us. So thank you so much for coming today. This is the second event in our week-long uni apprenticeships and careers festival called The Future Is Yours, which is in partnership with SpringPod, the online work experience platform. And we're really excited to host this event today. So the world of apprenticeships is bigger and more exciting than ever. And for lots of school leavers, it is the better option for them, and better than perhaps uni, which a lot of people see as the only option. Today, we've got three amazing speakers to tell you what apprenticeships involve, why they can be an amazing career and learning option, and how you can find the one for you as well. Just before we start as well, throughout the talk, you can drop any questions you've got for any of our speakers in the Q&A section, which is just at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now over to each of our speakers to introduce themselves. So Joe, how about you kick us off?
Fantastic, thanks Mariota. So hi everyone, I'm Joe and I am an early talent executive at Multiverse. So Multiverse is an apprenticeship provider based in London and in the US, and we focus on apprenticeships in the digital space. I've been here for 2 years, and in my role I help young apprentices find opportunities and I help our employers find apprentices. I'll hand over to Karishma.
Hi, I'm Karishma. I recently completed a level 4 civil engineering apprenticeship, and I now work for a company called Pick Everard, which is a multidisciplinary company, does a bit of everything. And yeah, today's my first day work, so nice to meet you guys. And I'll now pass it over to Gabriella.
Hi, I'm Gabriella. I'm a business development apprentice at Publicis Media. Publicis Media is a holding company in the advertising and market industry, and my job is really to be hands-on with pitches and assisting with the process of it, when the actual pitches happen, to help on the day with things with the pitch team, and there's loads of other things I do. And I'm actually an apprentice with Multiverse, and yeah, Joe actually helped me with that interview. Little fun fact.
Amazing. And so now let's kick off with some questions. Now, tricky one first, which I would like Joe to answer. What is an apprenticeship?
That's a tricky question. So an apprenticeship is an opportunity for you, for one, to take on a full-time job whilst at the same time studying for a qualification. And the kind of idea of apprenticeships being in manual remits has kind of changed over the last few years, and now there's a big surge in digital apprenticeships. The level of qualifications range all the way from level 2 to degree level, so there's lots of options out there. And in that time, you'll be spending 80% of all of your working time on the job. So that is just doing your job in whatever function that might be. 20% of your working time will be spent in learning. So that goes in many different formats, but that would be completing assignments, attending lessons or classes, depending on what kind of apprenticeship you're on. In your apprenticeship, you'll be paid. Sorry. I did a bit of a dramatic pause for effect, didn't I? In your apprenticeship, you'll be paid a full-time wage. These wages do kind of vary depending on what kind of sector you're in, and you would be considered, in most cases, a mainstream employee. Is that everything, really, Marietta? Is there anything else you want me to cover?
I think that sounds very informative.
Nice.
And I'm interested to ask you next, Joe, as well. Now, you went to university and you didn't finish your degree, and now you've helped lots and lots of kids go through their apprenticeships. So from a combination of your personal and professional experience, what would you say makes someone right for doing an apprenticeship? How do they work out if it's right for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think, with my own experience, so did my A-levels and I was quite good at English. So at the time thought, well, I better do English then because I'm good at it. And I went to do English literature, and it just really didn't work out for me. And I think throughout my childhood and my young adult life, I always enjoyed learning things at work, whatever job that might be. And it wasn't really what inspired me. And so when I took that decision, I then went into the world of work, and I realized actually the connections you make, the skills you learn, the life experiences you have were a little bit more richer for me than what I was experiencing in the classroom or in the lecture hall, as much as I love reading. So I think if you were someone who wanted to get that snap into life and into that next stage, and to explore something that you might have experienced with your parents and guardians or older siblings, and you kind of want to be more hands-on, then potentially an apprenticeship is more the path for you. That being said as well, actually, there are so many opportunities for apprenticeships to be academic. So, for example, one of the apprenticeships we provide is an advanced data fellowship, degree apprenticeship, where you learn about statistics, engineering, AI, that kind of stuff, machine learning. So it depends what environment you want to be in. But if you're looking for the world of work, if that's what you're using university for, then maybe actually you should reroute and think, should I go straight into the world of work, get the salary and get the qualification at the same time? And in the same space that someone would have completed a degree, you're actually 2 or 3 years ahead of them. And realistically, if I could go back in time and speak to younger Joe, I'd have realistically told him to go and do an apprenticeship.
Cool. And Karishma, your experience is really interesting because engineering is known as it's known as something that people go and study at university. I'm really interested in relation to what Joe said, for you to talk about what your experience on your apprenticeship has been and how you feel it's compared to your school friends who went to do engineering at uni.
Yeah, it's weird because engineering is both the kind of course that you think, oh, you really need to go uni for, but also, oh no, but it's so perfect as an apprenticeship because engineering is problem solving. And that's something you can practically do better than you can learn about. So when I did my apprenticeship, the way it worked was I had a day release. So I would work Monday to Thursday, and then Friday I'd go college and I'd do my level 4, which is the equivalent of your first year of uni. Everything that I was taught on my course had been tailored, because it was a BTEC as well. So it was a BTEC level 4. It was tailored to actually fit what I would actually be doing at work. So when I was at work, I was learning about what would come up in my course, or when I was doing stuff on my course, it'd be stuff that I'd be actually doing at work. So it tied in a lot better than when I spoke to my friends who literally did the same course as me and went uni the same year. They were doing completely random things that I still haven't come across. I've been working for 2-3 years in the industry and I still haven't come across. Yeah, if you want to be looking at rocks and stuff, then you can become an ecologically survey person, but it's not civil engineering. It's a very specialized off-brand thing, but it's not what you do on job. Like literally today, speaking to people, they're all talking about all these obscure roles with like engineering where it's hard to fill them and stuff. But yeah, I've really felt that I learned more about how to work than just theory on a subject that I won't use.
Mm-hmm. And Gabriella, how about you? How has what you've been learning in your role compared to perhaps what you thought about learning at uni, and also what anyone who you know who's gone to uni has been learning?
So my best friend's actually doing a similar business course as well, because I'm doing level 3 business, and everything she's learning compared to what I'm learning is not really, as Christian said, not direct. I don't know, it just doesn't like what I'm learning, it just relates to my role and just businesses in general. And I feel with uni there's so much more to it there's so many modules they do, so many things they learn, but then they're not going to, like, especially in first year of uni, like I feel first year of uni, you're never going to look back at that stuff. From what I've learned from all my friends, like they said, first year is just that the years to just sort of not chill, but just get it done with, get a good grade and move on. But for me, I'm actually applying what I'm learning to my day-to-day role, and through the assignments as well, it just, yeah, it helps me feel more confident in, like, especially knowing a business structure. Like my first assignment was about mission and vision statements, which I didn't know existed, and then looking into my own company's mission and vision drives me to want to work better each day. So yeah, it's really interesting, and yeah, I'm just enjoying it.
Cool. And if what is the most exciting thing that you've been learning so far in your apprenticeship?
I think actually my current assignment, if we're speaking about the learning side, yeah, the learning education side of things, but different change models and how, like, just change in general. Like, I'm looking at 4 different models. One's the easier model, one's Cotter's 8 steps to change, and there's another one I can't remember because I'm just trying to get this assignment done. But it's just so interesting looking at things from different perspectives, and then as well, like, I need to just choose one at the end, how I think it's going to apply to my role and how I could change my organization, like one thing about it. So it's really good because, yeah, there's so many things I could go on about.
Cool. And as someone who's been working for 5 years, what is a change model?
So good question to put me on the spot, because right now, embarrassingly, I can't think, because I feel like I'm just a bit nervous on this webinar because I've never done one before. So I can't really give you that answer. Sorry.
That's okay. But you're learning it. So you're in the
Exactly.
process of learning something as an
Yeah.
apprentice, which I don't even know what it is.
I got given this assignment like last Friday, so I feel it's still new to me because I'm working as well, and my study days are Fridays, so I haven't had a chance to look at it since then.
Amazing. Well, let me know what it is. Maybe we can use it at MyTutor. And Krishma, that really got you. I'd love to know what your favorite thing that you've been learning so far on your apprenticeship has been.
Sorry, that one did actually get me. Oh, like work-wise, or literally specific to the course, or
Just
in general?
anything you've been learning, like the stuff that you've told me that you would do it, that you've been doing so early on.
Oh,
so cool.
I feel like, okay, I think one of the biggest projects that will stay with me was the first one I actually worked on, which was East West Rail, which was a railway that they were making between Oxford and Cambridge. No one had any idea what they were doing with it, so they chucked on the new people, which was me. But I think what will be exciting coming up is we're doing works for Houses of Parliament, and I have to get my security clearance done. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I never said that.
You might be.
I think it's fine you're saying that.
Yeah.
I worked in Parliament for a bit as well, to be honest, and it's quite cool.
Yeah, because we're gonna be doing refurbishments. Yeah, I don't think I should say too much.
Yes.
Just in case I get robbed.
I think everyone in the whole country knows that refurbishments to Parliament are happening at some point in the next 100 years. So
hopefully.
That's so amazing, Krishma. So like in 2 years of working, you've built railways and roads and next
parking,
drainage,
bridges. Like I feel like as my career will develop, there'll always be the next thing that I will think is the highlight of my career, because the course I've chosen, like that, the work I chose to do is building, like making something and having it in front of you. And then that's why I chose it. And that's also why I chose to do an apprenticeship, because I knew it's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to start doing it. And I don't regret it. I don't regret any of it.
Amazing. Well, on that, actually, if we go back a couple of years, so this question for both Gabriella and Krishma, what was your thought process when you were in sixth form, looking at the options ahead of you, and how did you decide to do an apprenticeship? Gabriella, how about you go first?
So I didn't even go sixth form. I went straight to college when I was 16. I went catering college. And then in my second year, it was a 3-year course. It was really intense. But then in my second year, I dropped out. And then I worked at a corporate travel company for 2 years, including in COVID. And then I got made redundant. And then I was not working for 2 months. So I was just looking for any sort of work. And I actually saw I've always had in mind to do an apprenticeship, like when I was 16, but I never thought to take action. And then this TikToker came up on my TikTok For You page, and she was an apprentice, and it just really opened my eyes. And then that's when I got another job at the time, but then that's when I looked into Multiverse, and then I just completed my profile. Multiverse was so helpful in making sure I completed it. Like, someone called me literally every week to help me keep updated with it. And then when I started applying for roles, that was another step. And then so February time, actually, I was just really on doing it, and it was one of the best decisions I've made, because I'm working at an amazing company, and Multiverse have been amazing throughout it as well. So yeah.
Awesome. And we'll get Joe to talk in a moment a bit more about the Multiverse experience. But Krishma as well, like back when you were in sixth form, how did you decide to do an apprenticeship?
I've always known that I've been more practical at things. I can study, but I don't enjoy it. I always enjoy practically doing things, which is why I think I've known for like a really long time that I wanted to do an apprenticeship. But I had the hardship of the fact that my school was very heavy on uni. So every time I tried to look for an apprenticeship or get help, it really wasn't there. So then I actually ended up applying for apprenticeships as a backup plan if I failed my A-levels, which I didn't by some miracle as well. No, I ended up doing well my A-levels, but I got all my options for uni. But I still thought, well, I've applied for these apprenticeships. Let me go see what it's like. Let me go to the interview. There's no harm. I've already applied at this point, and I've got my uni spaces, like all of them, if I want to go. I went on a whim. I didn't really actually care about going, ironically, but I sat down with like the person who was going to be my line manager, and she just explained everything to me. She explained apprenticeships to me. She explained the work I'd be doing. And I just was like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to go uni. I don't want to be sitting in a classroom for another 4 or 5 years or whatever, because then I'd have to get a master's or God knows what on top. I was like, that's what I wanted to do. So that's when I made the decision. Deferred my uni place just in case after a year that I didn't like it, I still had a backup. But then even then, I just cancelled it after the year. I was like, I only got a year left. It's going well. And yeah, don't regret it.
And that sounds really useful for people to know as well, that you don't actually have to just choose between an apprenticeship or uni. You can apply for everything that's available to you, and that because it is often in the application processes that you get more of a sense of what each individual uni and each individual apprenticeship will be like. And again, it's often the actual people who you'll be either working with or learning from that can help you really make your decision. On that note, I'm really interested in Joe, like when young people are talking to you and they're unsure whether they should do an apprenticeship or not, what sort of advice do you give them for working that out?
Yeah. So obviously that conversation, it comes up, and you know, people like Krishma and Gabrielle actually, you know, have very different experiences. But it boils down to what you're passionate about. And that's the advice I ultimately give the candidate, because at the end of the day, I'm never going to influence your decision. This decision is no one else's to make, and you might feel expectations. The reason why I went to university is because I always remember, I'm 27, my head of sixth form about 10 years ago, rough, said you won't get a job in this country unless you go to university or join the armed forces. And so me and my mates looked at each other and were like, well, I don't really want to join the army, so I'll go to uni then. And now that dialogue has completely changed. Companies have embraced apprenticeships as a way to quickly upskilling their workforces, accessing wider communities to bring into their businesses, increasing diversity, and keeping up with digital skills transformation, which is those are the two big topics every company's talking about. But if I was speaking to you, a candidate out there, or a parent who wants to advise their child, realistically, it's about doing the fundamental research into the companies, into the qualification, and then looking at the alternative at university and thinking, what is the outcome going to be here? And is it the outcome that I want? Also, the one thing that I would advise is it's a massive life decision, right? At the end of the day, there's a time commitment. And although universities have deadlines, most apprenticeships run in cycles, so you're not necessarily going to miss out. I think it's important to be making sure that you've researched everything properly, and B, you're not rushing yourself into a decision. And you can end up like Karishma, who very smartly did the apprenticeship and deferred her university place. That's probably like an ideal outcome for someone who's a bit unsure. But you will find those things where it just grabs you and you think, this is it for me. And you go for the interview, whether it's at the university or at the job, and you might have that conversation. Karishma, I'm just quoting from you because it's much better for me to use a live example where everything falls into place. The most important thing is you've got to reach out and have those conversations.
Yeah, totally. And well, on that, if someone, a sixth form or a college student, doesn't know doesn't know anyone who's done an apprenticeship or even who's gone to uni, what would you suggest, Joe, for making those conversations happen?
Yeah, so if you weren't to know anyone, I can imagine that would leave you in a place where you think, oh, actually, where to start? And I think, first of all, looking at local providers and just picking up the phone. So I'm not going to, Multiverse included, QA, all these different apprenticeship providers and universities have teams of people ready to give you advice. And there's a reason why we all work in these institutions, because we're passionate about change and development and giving you the best opportunities. So although you might not feel that you have that support network or those examples to reference from, it's just simply a matter of picking up the phone. There's definitely someone to reach out to. And also, I think, reflect on your own experiences. If you've been someone who's been quite academic at school and you've enjoyed a certain subject, then maybe the best place to start is researching universities that offer that kind of area of qualification. If you're someone who, when you were younger and you're a bit like me and you had jobs here and there just to get a bit of pocket money, you actually really liked the camaraderie and the teamwork and learning skills, even in those, the retail, the hospitality kind of sectors, actually maybe that's the starting point. I think, it's really important to back yourself and trust yourself.
Yeah, and on that note of different providers, I would really love to hear more about Multiverse and what an experience for someone doing Multiverse is.
Of course. Okay, so a quick intro to Multiverse. So we were founded 5 years ago by Ewan Blair, Tony Blair's son, and the vision of the company is to build a diverse group of future leaders by building an outstanding alternative to university and corporate training. And in the last 5 years, it's been a real whirlwind. We've gone from strength to strength. This year, we launched in the US, we rebranded, we've had another round of funding, and we've launched a degree level apprenticeship. And so to put the story into place, we're growing really quickly. Also, we're the only apprenticeship provider in the UK to have an outstanding from Ofsted in each category, and that was our first official inspection. So that was a really proud day for everyone. But that's the story of Multiverse. I guess realistically, you want to hear what's the candidate experience like. So we provide mainly in London, but we also provide in regional hubs around the UK. So currently Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, Bristol and Bath as well. And if you were a candidate, what would happen is you would immediately launch into the sign-up process. You go on the website, you click candidate sign in, and you have to enter some basic details. This is going to basically include your name, email address, phone number, and your academic grades. You'll then start building out your profile, which is going to be used instead of a CV, which I'll go into in a bit later. To be a candidate for Multiverse, you need to have 4 or equivalent in English and Maths GCSEs. And then you need, sorry, I got distracted. You'll need eligibility to work in the UK, so a passport or birth certificate. You'll then just have a phone interview with one of our fantastic admissions team, and we're basically just getting to know more about you. So then when you're ready, you come to the work of the early talent team, which is the team I'm part of. And my job is to help you find a role. The profile you've created is, like I say, used instead of a CV because we want to showcase your story. So our employers will see you profile video, some statements about yourself and your work experience. You'll then be put forward for interviews by one of my team. It might even be me if you do sign up, and we will support you through those interviews. So you'll get a prep session, you'll get interview prep sheets so you can research the company. You'll get feedback with every interview you undertake. And then eventually, the best part of my job happens, which is something that I, like Gabriella said, I get to pick up the phone and offer you the job. And that's what I did with Gabriella, and she's now absolutely smashing out the park at Publicis Media. And it all begins by just completing a form, typing in Multiverse and just filling that out. There's support all the way through. And we're here to basically help you find the place that you're going to call home. Final line from me on it is, my job is to find you somewhere where you can thrive and complete an apprenticeship, and really build out those skills. So I'll always be there, and so will the rest of the team, to give you the advice you need.
Amazing. And we'll of course be sending out more information on Multiverse and apprenticeships in general tomorrow. I think Georgina from Multiverse is actually here, and so if you want to drop a link in the chat for people to go and read a bit more, that is great. So that's the kind of the from Multiverse perspective, but I'd really love to hear from you, Gabriella, about why you've enjoyed Multiverse and how it's been different to doing an apprenticeship just independently.
Yeah, for me, I literally love Multiverse and what they stand for, and I'm not being biased on that, but my whole experience from start till now has been great. So started with just someone calling me to help me build my profile, which was really good and consistent. And the profile may seem overwhelming when you have to record yourself for a minute, but I promise it's not. It's literally going to employers who view it, but I think the whole idea of a profile made me was relaxing for me, instead of just here's my CV and then judging me from that, instead of choosing certain skills about myself and putting myself across that way. And then when I got through to an interview stage for Publicis, Joe was amazing. We had 2 different sessions for interview prep, and yeah, it all helped me clearly. And he as well, it was just so useful. I feel if I independently went for an apprenticeship, I wouldn't know where to start with interview prep or anything like that. There's only so much you can Google on YouTube. And then as well, while I'm on my apprenticeship, you get one-to-one coaching. So in your class, your coach will be teaching you, but then you also get coaching sessions once a month, or as well, whenever you want to reach out to your coach, they'll be there for you, because I reach out to mine a lot, with loads of questions, and sometimes just have a conversation just to tell her how I'm doing. And she's just really there for me. And then the course content is really good as well. But then there's the whole Multiverse community, which I really enjoy, because it's enabled me to network with other apprentices, make new friends, and as well become a community leader for a program on there. So I've been to careers fairs. I'm going to do I'm doing a webinar right now, which is helping boost my confidence in public speaking, and I'm going to hopefully go to my old school and talk to them about apprenticeships and the importance of them. But I feel with Multiverse, if I did this all on my own, I feel I wouldn't be in a big company as well. It really depends where you go to do it, but I think Multiverse is growing and growing each day, and I honestly would try and make everyone go with Multiverse, basically, because they'll just be there for you from start to end.
And Krishma, listening to all this, as someone who's done an apprenticeship through your local council, what do you think?
Do your research. That's the biggest thing. I I went in, but I didn't really I knew a lot about what the type of work and stuff I would be doing, but I didn't really know a lot about companies. And to be fair, I applied as a backup plan. I didn't actually expect the fact that I would end up doing it. But if I, knowing how it went now, if that makes sense, I would have applied earlier and scoped out big companies that are part of the industry. And doing the apprenticeship process now, applying for it, is so much easier than when I did it 2 years ago, because I didn't really know a lot about the companies and stuff. But if you don't know anything really even about the industry well, then stuff like Multiverse is what is really useful, because that would stop from you going to a company that might not even be ready for you, to be fair.
So do your
And
research.
You should always do your research. No matter what you do in life, you should always do your research.
Well, on that, I'm interested, Gabriella, as well, looking back on your apprenticeship experience so far, is there anything that you would do differently?
Personally, no. I thought actually apply sooner, because basically during last year when I was on furlough in July, when Multiverse or White Hat, that's when I came across it again, for the first time. But then regressively, I signed up and then I just gave up. But then when I started literally making the most minor edits to my profile, towards the beginning of this year, then I started getting loads of calls, sort of pushing me, come on, build your profile, you can do this, and then that's what really motivated me to carry on. So I feel just doing it back then, I feel I didn't have the motivation then, which is fine, because obviously I'm where I am now and I'm loving it. So I don't think I'd change, just apply sooner, if I'm honest. And I'd actually, if I was 16, I wish I chose to do an apprenticeship then. Yeah.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. Because as Karishma, you said, I'm more practical as well. That's why I went into culinary, chefing, because I've never been someone to just sit there and study. So with an apprenticeship, it's a nice, a small balance of studying, because I'm just doing a level 3 and then working, and I always ensure I take a day to study. Sometimes I don't, just if work's really busy, which is fine, because I make sure I manage my time well. But yeah, if I was 16, I'd applied then. But again, that's schools needing to tell 16-year-olds, look, you can do an apprenticeship instead of go to sixth form.
Yeah. But they're not going to do that. I don't know why they don't do it. They should be doing it more. Because
they want them.
School's not for everyone. It really isn't. Studying isn't for everyone. I know a lot of friends that ended up going into sixth form or going to a college or going uni because they felt like they had to, because that's what schools tells them. But then when they've come to me now and they saw that I did an apprenticeship, they've all said, I wish I did that, because I'm not built for studying. I'm built to do stuff. I like using my hands. I like physically problem solving. I don't like staring at a screen trying to learn some random text from God knows where. And I think that's been a lot of the time, it kind of is school's fault, but then it is our faults as well, because we're not pushing schools to do something about it. We're not pushing them to give us the info we want as well.
I guess as well, because you're young, your teachers sort of just take ownership over you, if you know what I mean, in school. They'll just sort of apprenticeships were never a thing. When I thought of apprenticeships when I was 16, I thought government, £3 an hour, no business. I would want to be in business, but what, electrician, plumbing, beautician, nothing's wrong with them roles, but literally £3 an hour to do that, and I'm no. So that's what put me off, because they never actually explained all these different routes you could go down, which is just frustrating. But again, I think I'm good. I'm in the process of trying to go to my old school and talk to even GCSE students and sixth formers. Look, you can do an apprenticeship. You don't have to go to uni, because so many people don't nowadays. I feel it's just the amount of people that want to go to uni is declining. Yeah.
I feel like the amount of people dropping up is increasing as well.
True. As well, because of COVID and online learning. Sorry.
Yeah, well, just on your piece of advice, Gabriella, on applying early, and you too, Krishma, especially if someone's at school and they've just been told really about the UCAS timeline. I just love it if you could tell us like when is early in the apprenticeships year, and like when is a good time to start applying.
Literally right now.
Yeah.
Joe can probably answer as well.
Joe, I think Joe's the girl.
Literally right now. October, November, and then January, February, March. At least
For me, I did February as well. To be
for
honest.
engineering ones that I know, but Joe might be able to fill in.
Yeah, I think it's a bit different depending on what your provider is. So, for example, if you're going into college once a day, then likely it's an annual launch. Whereas with an independent training provider like Multiverse, like QA, like all these other providers that are escaping my mind now, we launch them in cycles. It might be monthly, it might be quarterly, but it's kind of an organic rolling process. So it's never too late. You might as well just apply, and then you know when the next one's going up. Like Gabriella says, you don't want to be in that position where you think, "Oh, have I lost a bit of time there?"
Just
Gonna
as
finish
well,
on-
when I had my interview, I was like, "Oh, Joe, when do I start?" I thought I started in September because I thought it was an annual thing. He's like, "Oh no, next month." I was like, "Oh, great!"
I actually remember that. Yeah.
I was like, because I know like there was Morgan Stanley ones going, but that was like an annual thing, so that was in September.
Yeah.
But I just thought, oh, because it's sort of it is education. Oh, I'm going to start in September, so I've got a few months to kill. I didn't, but it's not like it was better I started early and then wait till September. And then God knows what if my place what if they didn't want me anymore? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and bear in mind as well, like when you've just emerged from that environment of being at school, being at college, being at sixth form, you've got that annual structure.
Yeah.
Don't let that kind of blink your vision. The world is constantly moving, and it's moving quicker than never before. So there's going to be opportunities out there, definitely, wherever you are.
Yeah.
And if you're attending an apprenticeships webinar in your autumn term in November, then you're ahead of the game already. Cool. So my last question before we go to questions from the audience is, so it's related a lot to what people tend to say about what they love about uni, which I find really interesting. And that, so we had a university webinar just last night, and all of our students' favorite thing about uni was what they said was it was personal growth, it was the experience, it was the people they meet, the community they have. And I'm just wondering do you only get that at uni? Like, I'd love to know like what connections, what experience, what community you've had as apprentices. Gabriella, you
I'd say for me, because as well, when you're an apprentice, I think it's so important to network, not just within your organisation, but on like LinkedIn. But then with Multiverse, as I mentioned earlier, there's the community. So there's new apprentices joining every week you can reach out to and have catch-ups with. And then the first time I reached out to someone was actually doing the buddy program with Multiverse, and she's like still my friend now. We met in April, and that's how then I started reaching out to more people, like just dropping someone a message. Like, people are going to reply, and if they don't, it's fine. But from that, like, I don't feel as well, people always think of uni, oh, the social life, the partying, fear of missing out is what I experienced when I was 18 and all my friends went. But then I realised, like, everyone meets friends in different walks. Is that right? Like, you make new friends at different times.
No matter where you go.
Yeah, no matter where you go. So I feel people need to stop putting that pressure on themselves and thinking, I want to go to uni because I'm going to socialise and I'm going to live on my own and I'm going to do everything in my own time. Like, honestly, when you think of going to uni, think if you really want to do the course, like nothing else. Like, I don't think nothing else matters apart from if you as an individual want to sit there for 3 years, study, and then, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
What do you think, Krishna?
This is I'm starting to get a bit dopey because it's been a long day. But there's the question basically about social life with uni.
Because a lot of people say their favorite thing about uni is the people they meet and the experiences they have and the community they get from uni. How do you feel as comparing that to your apprentice life?
It's the same. Like, I would say at first, like, same as Gabriella, like, I saw, like, all the videos and stuff of like my friends going out and having fun, getting very drunk, as you do. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh, that could have been me. And then I realized, wait, why is it not? Wait, I actually have money. Wait, I can actually go out and do what I want. I was like, what's holding me back? Oh, nothing. And then I started doing it myself. I was like, oh, if I want to go out, I'll go out. Like the colleagues I've made, you'd think, right, in an engineering office where traditionally older people, no, it was quite mixed. It was mixed all around with ethnicities, ages, and male to female ratio. I went on a bender with my 50-year-old line manager, and it was the funniest thing. It was, oh, it was the best thing I think I've done. It was, I don't know, man. I don't. You guys, like, I think people have this conception that when you go to work, you lose your social life.
You don't.
But you forget, they're sitting in an office 8 hours a day. They're going for drinks after, and it is the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing you ever see. When you see people go uni, they're getting drunk, drinking and stuff, and just getting messy. That's not fun. And to be fair, if you chose to do an apprenticeship, most of the time it's because you are a bit more kind of mature, and that kind of crowd isn't really the crowd that fits you. Even today, I've met so many different people in my like new job, and I've just been having like the best convos the whole day, and I've really enjoyed myself. So you don't miss out on social life. You do what you want. You get to choose what you want to do. So it's up to you what you do with it.
The myth has been debunked that benders are not exclusive to universities. Breaking news here tonight. Yeah, I would say, I mean, I went to uni and I do really love the friends I made there, but they're very expensive friends. I'm still paying them off. And how about you, Joe, from your kind of perspective of like seeing other kids go on do apprenticeships?
Yeah, I think actually there was a thing I wanted to add to it. So, like, obviously, I don't want to just, naff on uni. When I was at uni, I joined a band. That was absolutely fantastic. I was part of the Water Polo Society because my friends were. Never played a game of water polo in my life and never will. And, like, I had a good time, but fundamentally it wasn't for me, right? I think one thing I want to sort of debunk here is actually just because it's a apprenticeship doesn't mean you're not part of the business, doesn't mean you're not part of that identity, you're part of a team. When I joined Multiverse and before that NCS, which is where I moved to after uni, I met fantastic people who were inspired by the same things I were, where I was in an environment that challenged me, and also like I've made actual friends. I have a social life that, is, I don't really, like I just really love being part of this business, let alone apprenticeships and what it does for young people. For me, it's a great place to be. And I think as an apprentice, you have access to those same opportunities. It's not just being on an apprenticeship, you're actually part of a team. You're you are needed, you contribute to that output, to the society, to the culture. So yeah, definitely debunking that because it's awesome.
Great, I think that's really, really valuable for our audience to have heard. So now I'd love to move on to some questions that we've got from our audience. The first one we got here is from Caroline, who's asking us, and I think this is quite a common problem, what can a person with no idea of what they want to do with a career do? Like, where do you start, I guess?
Honestly, for me, I went through so many different careers, and I don't think that's a problem. Like, I started as a chef when I was 15, like weekends and summers. But obviously, I loved that, and then it got too much for me, which was fine. Like, I had to accept that, and then I moved on to the next thing. So I feel it's maybe just look at different things and see what you're interested in, because you'll be surprised by like what you actually like. And I think, like Karishma said, I think go for maybe applying to uni and applying to different apprenticeships. Like, it doesn't just have to be one apprenticeship or one job. Like, I applied for 5 different roles, but I got through to the next round with Publicists, and that was the one I really like had my heart set on, which was like great. I guess as well, it's where your passions lie sometimes. because I feel if you're passionate about something, you can like get very like really far with it.
Amazing. With Krishma or Joe, do you have any other advice as well?
Like the way I realized I wanted to do civil engineering, because a lot of people don't know what it is, was I knew I liked maths, I like physics. Well, classic Indian child I am. But I like maths, I like physics, and the biggest determinant from that is engineering. Engineering is maths and physics and problem solving. And the one good thing my school did ever do was they very much pushed women into STEM. So we went to a lot of STEM events. I think in year 10, I went to a STEM event, and that's where I saw someone speak about civil engineering. And I was honestly captivated from that moment. And then I did my research, then I did placements on it, and just to reaffirm if I wanted to do it for maybe the rest of my life, maybe. But I would say, like, I think you were touching on this earlier, Marietta, but it's honing in on subjects you like. And if it isn't a subject at school, then hobbies. If there's a hobby you really enjoy, there will be something you can link it to that can get you to a place where you can look at careers. And sometimes it's even if you don't enjoy it, maybe look at subjects you're really strong at. Because even if you don't enjoy it now, if you're strong at it, you will enjoy it later because things will get easier with it. And then look for, I think there's a website called like which question mark, and you can literally put subjects in and it will generate random degrees and stuff like that, random courses that are directly related and sometimes completely unrelated that you never would have thought of. So a lot of those things help.
That's yeah, so helpful. That I think especially there, the idea of when you do just feel it's so hard when you're at school because there's so much pressure to make a decision that you feel is going to affect your whole life. But I really love your advice there, Gabriella, on just like your kind of method of just trying something out, see how it is, and then knowing that you can change. But your advice, Karishma, on working, just like trying to remember like what activity it is that you do that makes you feel like really absorbed and really happy, whether it's academic or not, like because it could be something even as simple as like talking to people. Like if you're a really, really social person, there are lots of jobs where being social, being a good listener, being a good communicator are like incredibly valuable. There's lots of things which don't necessarily seem like professional skills, which are them. Yeah, and I just wondered, Joe, as well, would you have anything to add to that?
I think realistically, I think, Gabriella, and you all put it really well. When I dropped out of uni and I was, not gonna lie, a little bit of a lost cause at that point, I bumped into NCS, and one of my friends was a team leader there. And I found an opportunity to be a team leader myself, and I got the job. And I was working with a load of young people who were on the brink of making the same poor choices that I did, or like not really exceeding their potential. And I was absolutely determined to not let that happen. That kind of naturally led me into recruiting for NCS, and then I found Multiverse. And fundamentally, I'm a people person, and I developed all of those kind of skills and that interest in people by washing glasses in a pub when I was 15 years old. So yeah, fundamentally, it's those little things, those little trails that you follow, and yeah, you can track that back. But I guess for you, the listener, you've got to track it forward. So yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, so I hope anyone listening will have at least a direction to start going in, instead of that total loss of which way to go. Really good question here from Mariam as well, which I think is quite a common one with, or quite a common issue with apprenticeships is, like how have each of you, Gabriella and Krishma, how have you found the workload and also like the working life? Yeah, either of you go.
I'm going to differ like from both of us, the industries we're in.
Are very different.
Yeah, very, very different. But like I as well started in March, which was sort of not lockdown, but like I wasn't in the office. So my workload then, as well as a new joiner, was obviously very little. But now, like, I'm 9 months into the role, it's a lot, which is like, it's fine because you need to understand how to manage your own time. And on your like my study days, if I can, I will help with work, but you shouldn't. Like, you're allowed 8 hours a week to just take time for yourself to study, whether that's like read, like attending Multiverse events for me, educational ones that will help develop my skills, or just doing my assignments. And as well, like, I've created study groups for some of my people on my cohort. I think it depends as well, like, if you need to be committed to doing an apprenticeship, because if you're just going to work 5 days a week and then panic when your assignments are due, it's not going to work for you. So I guess you just need to be strict on yourself and like make sure you tell your team, like, look, I need to study today, XYZ. Yeah, I hope that helps somewhat. But it's less than uni, I feel, unless you're doing like, but it really depends on what type of apprenticeship you're doing, because I'm only doing a level 3 BTEC. But if you're doing the degree one, I can obviously, I think the workload will be way harder.
I can attest to that. So like I said, I did the first year of my uni, which is a level 4. I just saw a question in the chat that was asking about, they've only seen A-level apprenticeships. How do you find degree ones? When you search for apprenticeships, if you're not going through a provider like Multiverse, or I can't remember the other names, sorry. Level 3 is the equivalent of your A levels. Level 4 is the equivalent of your first year of uni. Level 5 is your second year of uni. And then level 6 is in reference to a whole degree apprenticeship, or literally your last year. So if you've just come out of like sixth form in college, which I think was like 60-70% of you are, you would be looking for level 6 apprenticeships. And there's literally a government website for apprenticeships that you can use to search. My main thing that I've been using now, in regards to when I did it 2 years ago, is LinkedIn. LinkedIn's it's a very good website in general, because it's literally the work Facebook. It's how you, like, it's like with Multiverse, you make a profile to show, I'm assuming, like, jobs and stuff. I haven't actually been on Multiverse, I must confess, but like, I haven't set up my own profile on it. But LinkedIn is like, you're making a Facebook profile for jobs. So it can also be just to kind of like show yourself off to the work world, to make connections and to socialize.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very good place to look for apprenticeships as well. And setting it up properly, there's a lot of recruiters for junior positions or for apprenticeships that will be on LinkedIn or Indeed as well. So those are good places to look. So I know it didn't answer the question, but I kept thinking that no one's actually explained the levels of apprenticeships. And then I went on a tangent. I'm sorry I do this.
No, that's super helpful.
I can't actually.
Yeah.
Oh, the actual question was workload. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, that was really,
It varies.
really helpful. Yeah, exactly. Georgina, useful explanation.
Workload varies. Like, I feel like the difference is when you do an apprenticeship over when you're just kind of working. Well, even when you are just working, Marita and Joe, you probably can attest to this, right? If you feel overwhelmed, what do? You either tell your colleague or you tell your line manager, and then they will go and see if anyone else has capacity to help you and take stuff off you so you're not too stressed. That doesn't change just because you're an apprentice. If anything, you get more of a buffer because they know that you weren't from the industry. You're not from this world. You are now only entering this world where it is very different to anything you've done before. Because studying in school and stuff is very reliant on you. If you mess up, it's your fault. But now you're in an office. If you mess up, it affects a lot of people.
But
But
you
that
get
means
help.
there's a lot of people to come help you fix the
Yeah,
mess.
and everyone supports you as well. Like, because you're new, you're an apprentice. Like, for me, I'm still learning things about the end. Like, I'm 9 months in. Like, I'm not gonna be expected to know every single thing. But it's so good. Like, actually being in like a company in a professional environment and gaining all the transferable skills. Like, you could, for your next job, if you move companies, or your next role, whatever it is, you're gaining real life experience every single day, and which is just obviously good to have. Like, because at uni you're not going to get that, and then you're going to be what with your degree going into a company thinking you know everything, when in actual fact you don't. Obviously some cases you do the basics, but like as Krishna said, with her friends, they were learning stuff that she's not still done in her 2-3 years of working, which says a lot, I think.
Yeah. I would just add
also,
to that. Sorry, no, what were you going to say?
no, you go. Okay. Sorry. The biggest example I can have about kind of progress and stuff is when I started, someone who actually just come out of uni with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering started at the same place as me, same team, everything, same role. People didn't trust him because he did not demonstrate the skills you need to have to work. He wasn't very communicative even. He wouldn't really push himself to like do anything. He was a bit lazy, honestly. Like, he clearly thought, I've got my degree, I'm in a job, that's it, right? But he didn't put any effort in. I, on the other hand, joined, was super excited, was ready to get my hand stuck in it, was ready to ask questions as well. I think that's the biggest thing. No matter where you go, no matter what industry it is always be willing to ask questions. If you don't know, don't sit there and not knowing. You should ask. Because people appreciate the fact that you care enough to ask as well. Even if you ask like 5 times and you're not listening, that's your fault. But asking never hurts, really.
I'd like to add to that just quickly as well. The recruiter in me, people are too scared to ask questions in interviews, but it's a leading indicator of commitment and intelligence. So don't wait to get the job, start asking questions. When you're looking out there on LinkedIn and stuff, and you're looking at job descriptions and apprenticeship descriptions, actually interrogate it yourself and ask 2 questions: how and why. Likelihood is you're not going to have most of the answers because you're not in that role yet. When you meet your interviewer and actually start a dialogue with them, you're going to show that passion and commitment, which is what all the employers are looking for in entry-level talent, because they're going to invest all of their knowledge and skills in you. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, honestly, it's important, because I remember when at the end of my first interview, they're like, have you got any questions? And I was like, yeah, you know what I do? And I asked like 3 different things, which made it more of a, for me, it was more laid back, and I was like, okay, like, it's actually a little conversation we're having now. It's not all the spotlight on me. It's like I'm interviewing the interviewer. Do you know? Yeah. But yeah, because I feel like if you don't ask questions, they're gonna think you're not in. Like as Joe said, they're gonna think you're not interested. They're gonna just think you're there for the money. Like, the money shouldn't be your main motivator. That should be you, and you really want the job because you're X, Y, and Z. If that makes sense. Do you know? Yeah. Sorry.
No, I have to agree. Like, I could have been. I don't want to say this because I'm in my office, but I had several job offers for this job, like, and other jobs. I could be making double the amount I'm making right now, but in the interview process, with me asking questions about them, I realized this is where I'd rather work. Yeah, I could be making 40k somewhere else, but my soul would be destroyed. Like, I would hate it. I'd be just a robot, like, in a corporate system, not really interacting with any of my peers, just slaving away doing work. Or I can get paid 20k to actually have fun, have peers I really enjoy the company of, actually have support systems around me, and get all my training paid for that I want. I should be talking too loud about this.
No, that's, I mean, I think they would probably love to hear you saying that, because you've chosen them. And that is such an important point as well, isn't it? In interviews, I think you're often told to ask questions because it makes you look better, but it's easy to forget that you're asking questions so you can suss them out. Because not,
Yeah.
you might, all the time, you might realize in the interview process that then not the employer for you, that it's not the job for you. It's really easy, I find, in applying for jobs, that you think like job equals good, I want a job, give it to me. But it's actually like the interview process, it's just as much of a like journey of discovery for you as it is for the people. And like, yeah, as you so wisely, so many years before I realized this, Karishma, have said, yeah, and it helps you find the best position for you.